Today's guest is someone I've been so excited to bring onto the podcast because this conversation is one that so many women need to hear, but not enough of us are having. Mel Browne is an ex-financial advisor and accountant who ran her own successful accounting business for nearly 20 years before selling it just before COVID. She's the best-selling author of Unfuck Your Finances, with her fifth book, Dare to Be Wealthy, recently released this year. I read them both and I loved them so much. It truly felt like she was speaking directly to me. I found that what makes Mel's work so powerful isn't just her expertise, it's her raw honesty. From growing up in a house where money wasn't talked about to making major financial mistakes as an adult, including giving away all of her money and ending up in debt. Mel knows what it feels like to be overwhelmed, ashamed, and starting from scratch. Today, Mel is financially independent, has complete choice over how she lives and works, and is on a mission to help women understand their relationship with money, build wealth, and remove the shame that holds so many of us back. I like to think of her as the Brene Brown of finance. In this episode, we dive into everything from investing to debt to money shame, buy now, pay later, and even how our hormones can influence our financial habits. This is such an empowering, honest, and practical conversation, and I know you're going to take so much away from it. Thank you for being here again for the Can I Get a Refill podcast. I'm your host, Steph Bruno-Newton. Be sure to jump on the website, www.canigetarefillpodcast.com.au, linked below, to download an ebook I created for you to help you protect your energy and fill up your cup. Because the relationship with the self is the foundation where you start everything before you can build things like wealth and career. Download it today to make yourself a priority. Okay, now let's jump in. Hello, my cup fillers, and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast for an extra special episode today. We are joined by VIP guest Mel Browne. Mel Browne, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. Just ask my husband. I've been talking about it so much. I have an album on my phone, potential podcast guests. So when I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie and scrolling, I'll screenshot Instagram accounts and bookmark for later. I saved yours so long ago that I think you've gained 30,000 more followers since I screenshotted you first, because I did it twice and I compared them. Wow, she's grown. I think I was waiting for me to be more ready, but also I've looked back at my podcast. I think the tone of my podcast was more, let's heal, let's work on the emotional and mental health, let's regulate the nervous systems, and now let's attack
now we're ready.
Finance. Yeah, yes. And I feel like this year, not just for myself, but for the audience, that's what I'm concentrating on. Because, as you mentioned in your books, you can't build from that foundation that's rocky. And that's what I always talk about, the relationship with yourself. And I love how much you correlate that. And look, for those watching on YouTube, these are the books that I've read of Mel's that I'm talking about. Is that in shot? I can't see myself.
It sure is. They look
great.
Beautiful.
Unfuck Your Finances. Sorry, there's no other way to say that. And the newest book, I believe this is your latest book, isn't
That's
it?
my latest.
Yes. Dare to Be Wealthy, which is, I noticed Mel Schilling has, did you know Mel Schilling?
So I met Mel a long time ago, and sort of just as she was just pre-maths, and we just have always stayed in contact because our work is so similar in that she's helping people and I'm helping people, and money pops up so often for relationships. So I was devastated. It
really hit home, didn't it? Just
Same.
Too young daughter. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. It was so upsetting. But yeah, I'm sorry for you, because when I read this book, I'm like, oh, she must know her. But these books are brilliant, Mel. And I said in the email, I really feel so connected to you after, like, you're a great writer. It's not just good finance content. It's very quirky, the pop culture references. And I love that you referenced, which I have so many times, Miss Americana, the Taylor Swift documentary about being a
that documentary.
Good girl. Yeah, and I think that's what held so many of us back for so long, is being a good girl. That was never talked about for boys. But what I love so much is how you really focus on female, and there's such a difference between male and female. And, that index, for a personal story, for those who don't know, I was in a domestic violent relationship over 15 years ago. Now, I was lucky enough to have a family to go to and stay to, but not a lot of women do. So having that financial independence is not just that freedom, but it's safety in a lot of ways. And you reference again what I reference in the podcast, that the fastest growing demographic of homelessness in Australia is women over 55.
Yep.
And not just because they're underpaid at work, but because they took time off to raise their children. There was a documentary recently where these women are in their 80s. Some are living on, well, actually, they don't very often live on the street. They live in their cars, either for safety or for shame. And they're like, we did everything right. You know, we took care of our husbands and our homes, we raised our children, and now they're left with nothing. They didn't have super.
Yeah,
So
they didn't have super. Yep.
no. So what you're doing is really important, Mel. It's not just having, funds to buy a handbag. It's about, it can mean safety for so many women. So it's really my nonna, my half my family's Sicilian, and my nonna, I think she said to my Aussie mum when we visited, she showed a stash of cash and she goes, you should always keep some money for it.
I love her.
Love she's my guardian angel. When I go to psychics, she comes through. She was really strong, in a culture where the men usually were the strong ones.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is just really, really important. So I thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here to share that with everyone today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I love that you get it, because it is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that takes us to the first question. There's such a difference between males and females with finances. So what are the biggest financial obstacles that we face as women, and what can we do to overcome them to build that independence and financial wealth?
There are so many, and some of them are mental, and emotional, like you've talked about. So even just how we feel about money and how we think about money. So one really simple example is the media talks to men and women differently.
Yeah.
Like, this was Starling Bank research. To men, it's fear. Money makes you more of a man, which is problematic messaging anyway. To women, it's you just need to cut back. You're spenders. And if you think about the message we receive from TV and books, it's that women are spenders. We need a knight in shining armor. We almost can't be trusted. And I believe I am such a fan of Fairy Smart. I think that's one of the reasons why women love those books. We are drawn to those strong female protagonists that are damaged, that make it on their own, because we're really tired of that trope. But what we haven't done yet is apply that to our finances. And the stats back that up. So a UBS Wealth survey showed that whilst 90% of us are managing the household budget in a relationship, less than half of us are involved in investing. And
highlighted that in your book to bring up. That terrified me, because you know what?
Such a wild stat.
Bang on.
Yeah.
It is bang on. I hand all
you
the
do
bills,
the day-to-day.
are all to my bank account, because I have everything on my account in case he forgets. I want to have everything. I know when and where, not even looking at my book, when every single bill is coming out, I can tell you the date of everything. Yet when it comes to investing, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know that. And to be fair, maths wasn't an interest to me at school. I liked essay writing. Numbers game, it's not exciting. But that's why I like listening to more females talk about it. They talk about it in such a way that they paint this beautiful lifestyle of independence and power, and it's just such a turn on. And like you said, it's something as simple as Disney movies that we grew up with. It was, everything was the damsel in distress. And now you've got Moana out there on the boat on her own. And, good for younger women, but we didn't have that.
But it's also a lie that you've picked up, Steph, and I love that you've picked this up. The investing is hard and complex. Because it's really not. Or that you have to be good at maths. And with less women in STEM, we're already pushed down. You are creative, you are nurturers, you should go down that path. And blokes, STEM. There are more women in STEM now, but there is still this belief that you need to be good at maths to be good at investing.
Yeah.
Or that investing is complex. And yet, and 93% of people, you're not alone, 93% of people believe that men are better investors. 93%.
Yeah.
So, but the truth is that women are better investors, and study upon study upon study, research upon research upon research finds that. And part of the reason we're better investors is because we don't have that ego, we don't have self-confidence. So we tend to invest regularly in one platform, in 1 to 2 broad-based index funds. And we don't think that's investing. It doesn't sound good at parties. If we were at lunch with a bunch of finance bros, they're going to say, come on, you've got to get into this or into this, into that. So we probably keep quiet about it. And yet our lack of confidence is our superpower. And so we should be involved with those conversations about investing. We should be the one when our partner, if we're in a heterosexual relationship and he's going, oh, don't worry, I've got this, for you to say, well, actually, the research proves that women are better investors, so maybe we should get it, not just you get it.
But we should be organised and catch-ups with our friends to talk about this. Absolutely. You know, like I loved how you referenced that, because I have said that for years. When you're at a restaurant, you see the men talk about that and women talk about that. Now, I went to school in Newtown, so we're all very male and female. We're all the same. We're all included in the same conversation. It's very different. But my husband comes from Western Sydney and more traditional, and they're all of Asian descent. They're more traditional families, and they've all got good money. But
I think culturally, I'm part Asian, part Scot. I totally get it. Like I 100%
my
get
husband's
it.
part Scottish too.
Yeah.
No, truly, the men go off into one room and they smoke their cigars and drink their scotch, and they talk about they really big note themselves. I'm like, his face on, and they start talking about their businesses and their finances and investments, and the women don't touch it at all. And I'm like, we should be included in these conversations. Like, and all the women have good jobs and are earning good money. So I'm like, don't exclude us. Like, it really pisses me off.
Or have their own conversations, because I feel like, sure, let's still split if that's something we want. But why aren't we talking about it as well? You know, and I've started to do that with my girlfriends, because we already talk about business, but I now push it to finances, and I now ask the numbers. So if someone says, I've started investing, I'll go, amazing. What are you doing? How much are you doing? And it's awkward at first because we're not used to talking about it. But when they realize there's no judgment and others are happy to share because they shared, then that's where I think that it becomes
it's like sex. Language. And I love that you bring up Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Years ago, women didn't talk about it. And Sex in the City really gave us that almost permission to, it's normal. Like, to be honest, my sexual appetite's always been more than my husband's. So why wouldn't I get together and talk about that with my friends? So, but the two things that were always a bit taboo was sex and money. Yeah. But money is so much more taboo with some people than sex. So,
and to your point around the good girl, I do think we still carry this, you know, good girls you don't want money. Because even if I talk to women that are running their own businesses, I'm running my business to serve, or I'm running my business to give back, not to make money. And I'm really clear with my team. So I got pinged on this by Lawsy that has worked for me for 16 years. She goes, I hate that we're all about marketing at the moment. She goes, I just feel like we've lost our way. And I said to her, make no mistake, I am in here to make a profit. But I am equally in here for purpose. So if purpose gets lost, that's when you can ping me. But don't ping me for making a profit.
Okay, we're gonna take a side tangent. I'm going off topic here, but you've really brought a few things up in me. Now, there's a lot of people online now that are hammering people like Mel Robbins and, you know, certain people online. And actually, I think you commented on the Reese Witherspoon thing where she talked about AI and you celebrated it. I'm like, yes, and I think I liked your comment. Now, but there are actual pages where, is this your page? Is this your job to just tear down female celebrities who, they've sold out? Everybody has to feed their families and fund their lifestyles. No one's forcing you to do anything. And why are you so angry at people like, you know, Tony Robbins, you know, like life coaches are the enemy online. And that's something that I'm, you know, sort of aligned with. And it's like, why are you so angry at people trying to improve other people's lives? What is go talk to Jeff Bezos with all his plastic filling up the oceans, you know, like there's
some people we really should have a problem with, and it's like we're misdirecting our outrage. I won't use AI personally. Like I have a problem with the electricity that it uses, the water, but for business, if I don't use AI in my business, then I am going to be left behind. So it's choosing to use these things according to your values and really carefully and consciously. But I so agree around, if a woman is saying, I'm here to make a profit, that's okay. Let's not berate her for it.
No, absolutely.
I think that's a really positive thing.
As you said, consciously using it, like use it for, I would never use it for any sort of writing. I love writing. It's cathartic. And B, I want it to have my voice. But if it's something I don't know how to do, it's outsourcing. I bought a human design chart. Like, I'm a bit woo-woo.
Yep.
understand a fucking word of that thing. It's so complex. I had it sitting there for months and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to upload it. And in 7 seconds, not even like a second, I had the whole thing translated to me. And I was like, okay, great. I don't feel guilty for doing that because I was sitting on something and then I outsourced it because I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's not attack others all the time. God, it's so boring. But it's always more directed at women. But
I feel like I feel like that women are really, there's an expected role for us still. And if we step outside that role, then there is no, that's not what we expect of you. And sometimes I think that's appropriate. For me, if it's Trump, if it's like there's people that behave in such a way, if it's Zara, if it's Shein, if it's, companies that are absolutely destroying our planet and
completely
are involved with modern slavery, they will absolutely get my outrage. Afterpay gets my outrage because of how they cause women to behave. Yeah. But a woman making a profit, a woman investing, a woman choosing to put on her financial oxygen mask because she wants to look after herself. And for me, personally, the more I make, the more I can give back. Women traditionally give more back. Women traditionally spend their money on community, family. So therefore, it's realizing that and almost tending to your own garden rather than being so outraged around what someone else is doing.
Absolutely. No, but I was watching like an old Mickey Mouse cartoon thing the other day, and it was like, even that was, the rich one was greedy and evil, and the people with no money were good. And I thought that's seeped into our brains over time and over time. Even in the Bible, I can't quote the Bible to you, but I've read something where it's like, even Jesus was like, you can do more good with more wealth. Like, it's not a bad thing to want money. In fact, I often reference it's an amplifier of who you already are. Jeff Bezos probably not the most philanthropic person, so it's just amplified that. But if you're a good person, you can do more good with it. So we definitely have to remove the guilt and the shame, which we will get to in the show. It's probably what I'm most excited to talk about. Oh God, there was something else I had to say. We're going to go off on so many tangents because we're quite aligned, but I'll keep it going. So the crux of that, though, is what you're saying is don't be afraid to talk about it and get involved.
Don't be afraid to talk about it, and also be aware that the world of finance was created by men for men. In my lifetime, women couldn't get a credit card. The year before I was born, you couldn't get a mortgage without a male co-signing. In my lifetime, we had the Equal Opportunity Act and so many things. So it's really important to understand we are trying to exist in we're trying to exist in a system. The language doesn't align for us. Some of the products don't. And so if we feel like it's an itchy jacket, chances are it is. So it's, okay, so how do we navigate our way in it? Knowing that. And part of why I wrote Dare to Be Wealthy was to expose that and to have people realize, okay, now what can I do about it instead?
That it is such a brilliant book, but it's not just the financial world that was created by men for men. Do you know that we lie down to give birth because Henry VIII wanted to see the baby coming out? Have you heard that recently?
Gosh, that's insane.
Gravity-wise, you should really be up. I mean, I had a C-section. It's different, but right? Crazy. Yeah. We're still doing that. That's a bit crazy. Now, you touched on investments. Now, why are women so scared to invest compared to men? And what should we be investing in? So there's ETFs, super, investment properties.
Well, I think part of it is around that story that we have when 93% of us, this was a US Fidelity study, 93% believe that men are the better investors. So I think we abdicate, or I think with property, we feel more comfortable. We can touch it. It doesn't go up and down in value as much, and only because we can't buy and sell it as quickly. So the share market is made up of people. People are highly emotional. And so psychologically, when things go down, we freak out, we sell. When it rises, we have FOMO and we jump in. So because of that behavior, it is a roller coaster. And so we feel like it's gambling. So that's part of, I think, why people are scared of investing. But it's understanding that the share market's like a roller coaster, but one that is just going up and down and that's always going up. So if we look back over the last 120 years, there has been major crashes, probably, about 30, 40 of them. Probably 10 in the last 30 years, including the GFC, 9/11, COVID, the tech crash.
You just think of GFC
last
really,
year
don't
with
you?
tariffs. Absolutely. There would be at least 10. With every single one of those, the market didn't just recover, it recovered and kept going up. So the problem is people pause because they think, oh, it's not safe to buy yet. Whereas it's reframing it and going, well, actually, the market's on sale at the moment. When there's a crash, it's on sale. And I love a sale. But the problem is we don't know when a sale's on because there's not a big sale sign. So instead of trying to time it, we just want to buy regularly every single month, similar amount, no matter what the market's doing. And sometimes we're going to buy it when it's most expensive, sometimes in the middle, sometimes when it's cheap. But dollar cost averaging, it's a
But do you think the current society of getting those immediate dopamine hits? Now, I reference
totally.
Like back in the day, I used to lay-by everything. Remember good old lay-by?
Yep.
And so you would really look forward to it and pay it, and then you'd be so excited when you get it. Whereas now, like with Afterpay or something, you've used it and you're like, well, I'm kind of over it. Why am I still paying for this?
Where's the next?
So do you think it's more that like a part of it that you're not getting that immediate dopamine hit or that immediate gratification with something long haul?
We're not just getting the dopamine hit of we want to go jump onto our share app and see it going up. And also we feel sick when it goes down.
Yes.
So it's just applying social distancing and not looking. But my controversial opinion, and it's very anti what the finance world potentially will say, more and more people are saying this now, but it has been controversial, is that most people shouldn't invest in individual shares. It's quite appropriate to passively invest. So one ETF, broad-based, so something like ASX 300, S&P 500, or ones where it's a basket of ETFs in one ETF.
Yes, that's what I did through Sharesies. But do you know what I did?
Yeah.
I got my husband and I'm like, can you pick two for me? Because I have no idea what I'm doing.
But I think it's doing some recon. If you were going out to a wedding, you would do recon, right? You go, right, is it formal? Is it cocktail? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to look for like, what sort of do I want to wear? I know my shape. Is it going to be afternoon? Is it going to be evening?
Look, I'm someone who looks at the weather app every single morning to determine my outfit. Yeah,
totally. Like we know how to do so much. We know how to drive. We know how to manage technology. Investing is so easy. We've just been told that it's not.
It's so true. And it's like, when you have those emails that you got sitting in your inbox for so long thinking I'll get to them. And then you do them and you're like, it took about 7 minutes. I've been putting that off for 6 months. It actually wasn't that hard. But it's new, it's unfamiliar, and it's scary. Now, I also often reference the Scream movies, how they're so scary. Then once they take the mask off, they're a pimply high school kid. Yeah. It's no longer scary. So sometimes it's just that it's unfamiliar. Yeah. And the more, look, when I first started this podcast, you didn't understand how nervous I was. Like my heart was racing. I didn't sleep the night before. Yep. I don't even think about it now. Like I'm just doing 100 other things and then quickly press record because it's familiar now because I'm still doing it. So it's anything new is scary.
And if you really were of that person that's like, I just couldn't pick one. Like I just can't. I know myself. There are apps like Sophie, SOFI, or StockSpot, which are robo-advice. So I jump on. I would fill out essentially what's called a risk profile. It would spit up and go, here's a bunch of investments for you, and you would just invest. You don't have to pick anything. It's just it's like doing a Dolly Doctor quiz, and it picks up this is what to invest in for you. So, and that's quite appropriate to just do that. So people think it's financial advice or pick an ETF, for example. There is that middle option as well.
Yeah, you just brought up something in me about the sealed sections. You've just unhinged a core memory there. I love that.
I had to do something recently. We had a meeting with a company called Aviana. So Alison Bray, who used to be at the front of all of those Dolly Doctors. And it was the same thing. It was that core memory where I'm like, I feel like I'm 16 again.
I remember I'm an oversharer if you haven't noticed by now, but I'm my first pap smear. I remember going to Coles and getting a tub of Sara Lee ice cream, the little liter tub, and a Cosmo magazine and just going home. And I did that for so many years. Now it's a gluten-free brownie, but I always treat myself when someone, gets up in my space down there.
So fair. And maybe it's applying the same thing. It's, you know what? I'm going to give myself every month a gluten-free brownie or pick something little. I'm going to treat myself for doing this as a result.
Those reward systems are really powerful. It's that dopamine hit. Yeah, for sure. Now, what I'm most excited to talk about is you reference this in the book. I think the dirtiest word in the English language is shame. Now, that's something that took me so long to scrub off my skin with all different areas of my life. Now, I've referenced in my podcast, I actually haven't said how much debt I was in, so I'll say it today. Why not? I'm feeling brazen. I was in $50,000 of debt not too long ago. Now, I am an incredibly hard worker. I admit I'm a very smart girl. I was a straight A student, but I only ever wanted to be a singer and do creative things. So I just always went into the boring sort of desk jobs, but I always worked my ass off at them. So I never had a big salary. So I was very much paycheck to paycheck. And this debt that I had was not like any grand purchases. It was just living beyond my means, and it creeped up and it creeped up. And, borrowed off mum and then, put it on mum's credit card, and then I got a credit. And then I just amalgamated everything. Worked 3 jobs, paid it off. It was there for so long, and I paid it off within 2 years working 3 jobs. And it was just such a freeing experience. And I had a big Europe trip with my husband, and we've since bought an investment property. We're looking at buying another one. And but you know what it was? I listened to another finance podcast, and they had these money diaries where women would ring in and talk about their debts.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, Mel, I was locked in that debt for years thinking, well, this is me now. This is my life. Like, what a loser. I used to dance on stage and, I was such a promising kid, and now this is my life. And when I heard other women, some with up to $200,000 debts, and they worked their ass off and paid it off. All right, some were OnlyFans, but some were other jobs. But it removed the shame. It made me feel like I could talk about it. I never told anyone, not even my best friends. I felt such shame around it. And that something as simple as removing that helped remove the white noise and think, okay, now I can put an action plan in place. But being a sense of community, hearing other women go through it, that was the clincher for me. So you talk about shame in your book. Can you talk us through how shame can significantly impact your finances, particularly debt?
So it's exactly what you talked about, where I think social media has a lot to blame for this at the moment as well, where we just feel like we have to keep up. And certainly, when I was a youngin', there was barely Sunday trading. Like, there was lay-by. You couldn't get yourself into financial trouble like you can now. And certainly I had issues with store cards and credit cards when I first got a job, but there were smaller amounts that you can get into trouble with now. And that's one of the things that I see happen so often. Women in really good incomes that are really ashamed that they have nothing to show for it. Like, they've got a great closet, or they've got...
Yeah, sometimes the more you earn, the more you spend, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Or it's stories like yourself where it will be, I've got this debt and I don't have anything to show for it. I'm just trying to keep up with the cost of living and everything at the moment. And it's exactly right. And I know when I was in a very similar position when I was age 33 and I was divorced for the first time, I went into 5 figures of debt. And I didn't tell anyone because I was, I'm an accountant, I'm supposed to be good at this, and I've made such an emotional decision. And that shame, it makes everything harder. And it also almost feels like you're walking through sticky honey, where it just smears everything around you. It affects your decisions, it affects your sleep, it affects everything. And I think, to your point, how we remove shame is talking about it. It's sunlight. It's realizing that you are not alone. And certainly I have helped thousands and thousands of women. And the thing that they continually say is exactly what you say. That when they realize that they are not alone in this, when they realize there is a path out of it, that is when the shame lifts. I ran some free webinars last week, and one of them was on debt. And I got people to say, what's the word that comes up when I say the word debt? And it was stressed, it was anxiety, it was shame, it was overwhelming, it was fear. And I said, if nothing else, and there was probably 200 responses. I said, if nothing else, I want you to see that you are not alone. Because part of what we do is we think we're in this bubble of stress and anxiety and all of those feelings that stop us moving forward. And what shame does is, for some of us, it just causes us to freeze. For some of us, it does make you pedal faster and faster to try. I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this. But for some of us, we freeze as a result. And it's really about unstucking and realizing, I think people, what I want them to hear is that you have more agency than you think. You just don't know it yet, to your point. So we've got people in our community that are stuck in marriages or situationships where they think, I can never leave because I'm not going to be able to live like I am. I'm not going to be able to provide for my kids like they are. And they're deeply ashamed of that. And for them, it's realizing, well, I could, but the alternative might be something that people look at and in their mind, I'll be less than, but actually it's becoming okay with that. And one of the questions that I ask people a lot is, how would you live if no one was looking?
Oh, I like that.
And we've had some women in
Different.
it would be, for many people, it's radically different. And we've had some women in our community leave marriages and house sit for 2 years as a result of that question, because they're like, we have options. We might not like them. Like, I bet you didn't love working 3 jobs for 2 years. That wouldn't have been your choice, but you had more options than you thought. We've got people pet sitting and pet walking and making 11 grand a year from that one thing. So
I think of anything more joyous than pet sitting and pet
I
walking.
know.
Do that for free.
But it's realizing you've got more choice. We just haven't been taught how to find that. And so many people that I meet feel shame around their finances, which is why I love the work of Dr. Bruno-Newton.
Oh, and I've highlighted a quote. She is absolutely queen when it comes to that. But it makes you freeze. It makes It's like there were no answers. So you need to be able to free yourself of that shame before you can move through and do anything. You can't white knuckle it through the shame. It needs to go.
And I would encourage you. We had a girlfriend who, I'm in a business group, and we had a girlfriend who had a startup in there, who had that startup for about 5 years. And she's had to say to us, oh, look, I can't afford that dinner, or I really want to come away on that trip, but it's going to be only be able to cost that much. Or can someone room share with me, because that's the only way I can do it. Like, it's taken her a lot of guts to say that, because it would be much easier for her to go, I'll just put it on a credit card and deal with it.
Yes.
So I think if they're really your girlfriends, if your family really care for you, it's loud budgeting what your needs are and not being ashamed that you can't keep up. Because too many people are trying to, and it is absolutely destroying them financially.
I don't think the people who love you would care at all. I think they would, be really compassionate about
that. They're oblivious, because we think more about our situation than about yours.
But it's true that social media thing is bad, but the lifestyle creep is ridiculous. I mean, I still buy my makeup from Priceline, like people are buying $90 like Chanel makeup, and it's like, you're reusing it all the time, so you're constantly outlaying. I used to get my nails done all the time, and I do love getting my nails done. I'll do that again one day, but I'm not in that season of life. I now have a child, and I like to buy him cute outfits. And it's like, I'm just, I meal prep Monday to Friday and have all my food here, and then we eat out on the weekends. And I just think we need to normalize, like, years ago, you would have a trip every 5 years, not every year, or you would only get your nails done for a special occasion, or, and I look back at, like, I was getting my lashes curled every month. I was getting the nails done, and I was like, oh man, I wish I invested that money. Like, like, think of what I could have done with that money. I mean, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but I think definitely lifestyle creeps huge on social media.
Income levels, and we think we shouldn't have to do that anymore. So I run a 10K challenge every single year. And I talk about what I'm doing, and I'll have people say to me, oh, I don't know, like, why are you doing that? I'm going, well, why wouldn't I? Like, I get that, and I invest that in crypto because I don't want to invest my own money in that.
Yeah.
I pulled out my Eat Club app and paid for it the other day with a girlfriend that was there, and she went, oh, what are you using that for? Like, and I went, well, why wouldn't I save 36% on this meal than pay full price? Like, I feel like there's judgment as well around,
Yep.
why are you doing that? So I think it's normalizing behavior to other people as well, to say, well, why wouldn't I? Like, I'd meal prep on a Sunday. Saves me so much money and so much mental load.
It's not that you don't have the money. It's you would
I?
rather put the money into something more valuable and not something that's gone in a second, like a meal.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather donate that money than spend it. Yeah.
But also I know what I put in my food and it makes me feel healthier too.
Exactly.
So that's another thing. I've had something very interesting in your book, again, very targeted to females. I do cycle syncing. So I'll do my exercise around my cycle, and I didn't realize that you could use that with finances. Now, can you talk us through, you mentioned, having different sort of spending habits throughout your menstrual cycle or perimenopause.
So this is the first finance book that talks about hormones, which I am so excited by, and I think more should. And I had a girlfriend where she was in business, and she would do that. If I had a big sales call, I would try and make sure that was during certain times of the month. There's impulse spending that happens the week before. As so many women know, the week before your periods is going to be your most impulsive for spending. So for that week, have rules around, well, actually for that, I'm going to have a 7-day no spend challenge every single month. That's the week before my period, or it has to sit in my checkout for 48 hours. But there's also, I used to think when I was on my period, that was the worst. Like, that was the worst version of me. Yet there's actually research, an old wisdom where it was called to bleed on it. And what that meant is that when you are actually menstruating is the best time to make big decisions. And it's not to say you can put things off, but if you know you're going to be super impulsive the week before, but a week later, that's like your best self when it comes to strategy. Why wouldn't you put off a decision for a week?
That makes sense. Yeah, for me, it's the week before. Oh my God, horrendous.
Yeah.
I've actually recently been diagnosed with PMDD, so that explains a lot. Yeah, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, well, I will be linking your books in the show notes so people can buy your books and read more about it in there. That's super interesting. Okay, for the juicy one that you and I are going to love talking about. So buy now, pay later schemes, particularly Afterpay. Now, I'll tell you now, I have always been a big Afterpay user. And then when we went for our investment property, I closed it off so that, my credit score looked better. And I always said, no, look, it works for me. I've never been late, never had a thing. But I absolutely do spend more and the purchases are bigger. And I believe it was Steve Madden who said, hey, when Afterpay came out, I went from selling an average of 1 pair of shoes to 2 pair of shoes. So people will look at something like, oh, it's only $50. Well, no, it's $200 and you're paying $50 now. So, but I'll tell you when I really realized it was a villain was when, first of all, their marketing is all at young women. And second of all, when it came in that you could use it for hospitality. So you imagine, I don't drink anymore. I got very generous when I was drunk. Imagine being out going, I'll buy you all a round of cocktails that are about $25 each. I'll pay it later. I couldn't think of anything worse. If you don't have money now to pay for food or drinks, you shouldn't be out. That's not a big purchase. So talk me through your feelings on specifically Afterpay.
Oh, I am here to try and shut down 2 things, Afterpay and Crocs, for very different reasons. Crocs are a crime against fashion, Afterpay a crime against finance.
I have hated Crocs with a passion.
Crocs.
And my friend's husband, who's British and he starts wearing them, she goes, he waited till we were married until he brought them out. But we both buy them for our kids. And I was like, I would never. But for kids, it's actually kind of cute and convenient. But I will never be caught dead. Yeah, horrendous. Yeah.
Definitely not.
Crime.
But Afterpay, the billionaire founders were blokes who are now billionaires who, when they brought it out, told women this is just a helpful budgeting app. And that's what women parroted back to me. At the time, they knew that women would overspend by 40% when they did. And everything was like absolutely targeted millennial women. You look at all of their marketing kit. Now you don't overspend by 40%, you overspend by 54%. And this is not independent research. If you go to Afterpay website, you look up, go to business, and they put the stats on their website.
Do they? Legally, do they have to?
They're proud of it. No, they don't have to.
Proud of it.
They brag about it.
Because businesses will then use it.
Yeah, if you're a business and they're charging you a higher merchant fee than a Visa or a MasterCard, they've got to justify why that is. So they pop that on their website to say, hey, this is why. And we don't care enough, or we don't realize. So, instead of me spending $100, as you said, I'm focused on the 25. I'm not going to lift 100 to 154, but I'd have no problem lifting 25 to 38.50. And that's the Afterpay effect.
And then every fortnight when my pay would come in, I'm paying hundreds off Afterpay because all the multiple orders would, and I'm always getting supplements from Chemist Warehouse, and those orders are quite big. And
so it never goes away.
It's absolutely a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Yep. So you are not paying interest, you're not paying fines, but there is a cost. So if you do nothing
beyond
today, it's get rid of Afterpay.
Yeah.
And if you're not using it and girlfriends are using it, go to Afterpay's website, find the 54% and show them. So this is what they're bragging that they are doing to you. Like, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah. It's scary that we're living in this world where, like, young men have gambling apps on their phone where they can gamble. Now, we didn't grow up with stuff like that. Your pop and your dad would have to walk to the TAB and put their little things in. So you're not going to do it as frequently that when you're watching the footy and it's sitting in your phone. And then we've got these ways, everything's shopping online and everything's Afterpay. Where now, with Afterpay, even I'm not even paying anything today. I'm paying the first payment in a week and a half or something. It's switched with me.
And the users are about 70% women. So their marketing has worked. And you're right, it's Afterpay for women, online gambling for the blokes. But our expenses are higher than men. Do you agree? So the guys can afford to online gamble. They can't really. Yeah. But yes, we absolutely pay a pink tax in there.
Pink tax. That's what I was just going to say. Everything.
Absolutely. We go
and
out
even like
to
getting
the
your hair done is
somewhere.
like 10 times what a man would pay,
Exactly. Yeah, my husband's not buying makeup. He's not getting his hair dyed. He's not getting laser. He can have one blue suit and that could just, he could wear that to
do you remember that experiment where Carl Stefanovic wore the same suit and Lisa, if she re-wore something once, it's pointed out. Well, that's the thing, is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't as a woman. You're either, labelled an overspender, or there's those stupid videos of those stupid manosphere guys where they're like, women, why don't you get your nails done? And there are all these women replying, because I'm an emergency surgeon. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, it's definitely harder for women. But that's really interesting about Afterpay. It really is, spending beyond your means, but you're labeling it as, I've never been late, so I never have a fee. Yeah.
Or if you're someone that's saying, I can't afford to invest, but you're using Afterpay, you can afford because you're potentially able to afford thousands or hundreds of dollars a year. And you might go, but if I'm overspending $250 a month, is that really worth it? 30 years at 9.3%, which is the average, according to Vanguard, the average 30-year return, that's $500,000 that you could have from your overspend. Like, small amounts add up.
Yeah, you got to think about you in the future, isn't it? You're thinking about you now, but I'm already in my 40s. I got here really quick, so I'll be in my 60s before I know it. Like, that's really important to invest in yourself, for sure.
Exactly.
I connected with your book so much because you would weave in quite personal stories, and the one mainly about, I've had some dickhead exes say some dumb things to me, and my favourite line was that you'll never make it on your own. But I really enjoyed where you were talking about the divorce and what age group were you in? What decade?
So I was 33 at that time.
And then living with 4 flatmates and you gave your money away to charity, am I right?
Yeah, which sounds so lovely, but I am petty and competitive. And when you said that to me,
love that in a woman.
I just was, I'll show you. And I didn't just give my divorce proceeds. I gave my everything in my personal and my business account. Like I scorched earth.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And I didn't tell that story until probably 7 years ago, a little bit longer. Exactly.
And you set yourself free.
Uh-huh.
And now you're worth a lot of money. So
But interestingly, if I tell that story to a room full of women, almost all of them will get it. They're like, oh my gosh, we've also made stupid mistakes. Yeah. If I say that story to a room full of blokes, so I told the story on a Channel 7 podcast last year. So many of the comments, oh, well, who would trust her? Like, why would you trust her when she's made such a stupid mistake? And again, that stops us then talking about it because we read those comments and go, ooh, better not say anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's where women get it. And because my target is primarily women, I'm going to keep talking about it because if some of the blokes think that I'm an idiot or think that I'm irrational or emotional, I actually know the research tells me that they are because of their investing behavior, not me. And I'm actually okay with that. But as you said, it's taken me a long time to get here and to build so that I can go, well, I'm also in a financial place where I came back from that. And so part of the reason I tell that story is I know how to rebuild. I know what coming back from less than nothing looks like.
Look, people are going to talk shit about us no matter what. So you might as well just do what you want to do. But
exactly.
Look, honestly, it's so impressive how you built yourself back up from that. So this is my question. For women who are at rock bottom today listening to this, what advice would you give them?
So I think you need to face it. The worst thing you can do is pop your head in the sand and keep going and pretend that it'll just sort itself, that there'll be a magic pill, a soup, a fairy godmother, a knight in shining armor. Become that for yourself. So first step is facing it. And then second step is just getting educated around, well, what can I do about this? Because chances are you don't know, but there is things you can do about it. You just don't know what they are yet. If you are if you're a low income earner, there's free help. So there are free financial counselors available. There is potentially zero interest loans to help get you out of that if you're low income. If you're medium, it might be, well, I'm going to figure out ways to find more money. I'm going to cut back. I'm going to find more cash. I'm going to learn how to invest. I'm going to create a buffer. Like you're not going to learn how to do it all tomorrow, but it's what's my next step. And my next step might just be facing it.
Yes. I was in a violent relationship, as I said, many, many years ago. And the one line that got me out of it was saying, no one is coming to save you. And, we can fantasize all those Nicholas Sparks books we won. And, does anyone read those anymore? that's a very old reference. I should have said Colleen Hoover. But I had to save myself. And facing the reality is the first step. And I used to have a cop friend and I used to fantasize him coming in and saving me. And it was only when I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm a really big manifester and I know it's a bit woo-woo when we're talking about things quite, pragmatic, but every time I make the decision to do something, I find that's when the universe conspires to work with me and things open up. So when I said, that's it, this is the year I'm paying off that debt, you wouldn't believe that everything that opened up to me of all these ways of how I could. But
because you've activated your RAS, you've said, you've told it. You've said, this is where I'm going. And it's then looking for things. So I'm Chinese Scott. I'm woo and pragmatic, like melded together.
Yeah.
So I believe in woo, but I also believe in that your body pushes you forward, and the RAS is proof of that. Yeah, yes. I love that.
Yeah, I liked that I forgot you mentioned that in your book, actually, the reticular activating system, for those who aren't aware. It's a neurological thing, right? It's where once you focus on something.
You've ever said, I've got girlfriends that said, I want to have a baby, and suddenly there was pregnant women everywhere.
Yes.
Like it's because you've said, this is what I want you to focus on.
Yes.
Like, this is it. So
it's and when I would wake up and say, I'm in so much debt, well, all I just kept seeing was debt and more ways to get into more debt. And once I made that decision, I'm getting out of it. Honestly, the solutions came to me. I barely hunted them. It was, Yeah, it's definitely making the decision. There's so much power in that. And there's so much power in getting your head out of the sand. You know, simple things like not looking at your bank account because you're scared of what it's going to say. Like, you have to face the fear because it's really brief. What's more uncomfortable is just sitting in it for so long. You just rip the Band-Aid.
Or hiding from it, or that sick feeling of knowing it's there, like a big
it is a
shadow
sick
in the
feeling.
corner.
It's look, debt is a horrible thing. It's a horrible, horrible, scary place.
Some debt can be. So like in the book I talk about 4 different types.
Of course.
So some debt can be really horrible. And again, it's facing it, it's understanding what's good, what's bad, what do we want to fixate on, what do we want to get comfortable with. Yeah.
I used to have nightmares of tsunamis when I was in debt. So it was definitely my brain saying, I feel overwhelmed. It's all coming in on top of me. Yep.
Yeah.
I am going to link everything in the show notes for you, but what resources do you have and where can women find you if they want to work with you after hearing this episode?
So I think Claire's going to send you a link where we've got some freebies. There's a shares masterclass, links to the books, all sorts of stuff. Or come play with me on Insta where there's a lot of free stuff. So Mel Browne .money, and I'm Fancy Brown. I've got an E on the end.
Your Fancy Brown. Your content online is so engaging and exciting, and I love all these, female finance content creators just creating excitement around it for women. It's so powerful.
I agree. There's some such great ones out there.
Yeah, I always link all links for my podcast guests, but I've already received from you this link. Listeners, you have to go look at it. It takes you to this place where you've actually put a personalized note to the Can I Get a Refill listeners with all your links. I don't have to do anything except put that one link in there. It's fantastic.
We make it easy. But that's what we try to do with everything, whether we're jumping on a podcast, whether we're helping someone with their finances or teaching them. Like, we try to make it easy.
Yeah, I love it. And it should be. This podcast is all about filling up your own cup. So, Mel, what is something you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup?
So I'm going out for dinner with some good friends on Friday night. But the thing that I do every single week to fill up my cup is I don't work Fridays. And hubby and I...
Your out of office thing.
We go for a big walk, we have lunch, we connect, and it just starts that weekend so beautifully. So
I love that so much. And since working for myself, I've got this dangerous thing of not cutting off the leisure time from the work time as much. But I'm very much in the building phase as well and just starting things up. So it's harder. But I'm definitely going to be more vigilant about that. And now that my son's in daycare, I said to my husband, once a fortnight at least, we're going to go to a cafe and have a date. Yeah, but I did say the other day, but let's make it like talk about finances, but make it sexy. And we love talking about that. We're a big goal setter.
Finances, but talk about sexy. You have to tell me how that went and what you talked about. I love that. I love that line. We're talking about finances, but make it sexy. We talk about money, husband and I, on a Sunday when we go for a walk, but we don't look at one another. It's like we're just walking and chatting. So
Mel, that's when we have our best chats. In summer, the post-dinner sunset walk along the water, man, it's so good. Because I said when you're at home, it's like the TV's always on, and there's something so powerful about
it. I agree.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mel, I thank you so much for your time today. You are really empowering a whole generation of women, and I'm so grateful for that. I want everyone to go out and get these books, jump on the links in the show notes, and follow Mel on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been such a pleasure. And everyone, please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.